All right, y'all, this is James Quantum Home Mechanic. Today I want to be talking about picks and pry bars. This is kind of just some advice and maybe some kind of show you guys what I use on a daily basis and stuff like that. So this is my big toolbox. I don't get into this box too much. So let's start off into what lives in my daily driver toolbox, which is this guy right here. So my absolute favorite picks, I think I've talked about this before, but let's talk about it a little bit right now. So my absolute favorite picks are specifically these snap-on picks. I prefer the hard-handled over the soft grip, mainly because they only had pink available. If they had a soft grip, probably go for that. Anyway, pink's my color, like I told you guys. I love these picks. My absolute two most used picks are these guys right here. This like bent-nosed and 90-degree. I use these for pretty much everything. When they sit in my toolbox, I set them like this, so I know that these are the quick ones to grab. Anyway, minor thing. Now you could compare these if you wanted to the Harbor Freight picks, but I mean, I've had these for a while, don't get me wrong, and they do have a lifetime warranty, that's true. But I mean, they just bend so easily. You know, they're kind of like a wear item, and it gets frustrating when you're warranting these out once every week or something like that. So it's a little bit frustrating. And the hook they have here, I mean, it's like I said, these are good to have, that's why they have them. They're just, you know, I actually bent this one to fit the needs that I needed for a particular job. Anyway, the snap-on ones, they're just better. You know, the steel is better. They don't bend quite as much. They seem to hold up just a lot better with use. You know, I don't feel like I mean, this one you could see the shank has actually been driven into it a little bit. I don't feel like these are kind of doing that. I mean, obviously these are not the right tools for heavy duty lifting, but they're good when you need them for like small little, you know, electrical connectors that are kind of stubborn, or O-rings and stuff like that. Or if you want to grab onto those like Audi and VW, like hose clamp locking mechanisms, this works great for that. The straight pick's really good for, like, you know, picking, cleaning out, stuff like that. Cleaning out holes. I use this a lot on like hex head fasteners when I'm trying to clean out the dirt and debris that's in there. So really great tool. Something like this, I like to keep all four. Like I said, these are kind of like throwaway units. So yeah, definitely going to want to have yourself a set of picks. The absolute kind of one of the best picks you can get is going to be something like this, a pocket screwdriver. I do keep one in my pocket at all times. This gets used for like everything. A screwdriver like this one, just anything that can fit in your pocket, you pull out for anything. I use it for prying out electrical connectors. I use it for getting off sockets when my hands are too greasy, to get them off from my ratchet if they don't have a push button. You name it, and this thing comes out, or something like this comes out to do the job. So definitely important there. The next one that I use a lot actually is going to be this right here. This is a trim panel tool from Harbor Freight. Yes, it works for popping off trim panels, but I use it for all kinds of things. I like that it's kind of wide and it has 2 points of contact, so it's kind of nice to get in between something and pry it off. This works, once again, works great for electrical connectors. It works really good when you're trying to run a bolt out, or you know, pretty much anything. This will do it. Really great tool here. Highly recommends this one. I like it. Has the wider teeth. I have some more in here, I'll show you guys in a second, but this is just, I kind of add this into the pick and pry bar kind of thing. Okay, the next one that I use a lot is actually, believe it or not, just flathead screwdrivers. I know you're not supposed to, and they have dedicated tools for it, but I like these, specifically this one, long, skinny. This is really good when I need to get down deep into an engine bay and pry off one of those electrical connectors. And let's say I can grab it with my fingers, but I can't quite get it off. I don't have the force to pull it off, or the room. So this right here, hit the button and then use this to kind of twist it off. Works great for that. This is another one. Any old kind of big, thick flathead screwdriver works great as a pry bar, but these designated, you know, proper pry bars work obviously even better. I use this all the time. I think I've used it as an actual screwdriver one time, but this works really great. It's got some springy flex to it, so you know when you're kind of over torquing, over prying with this thing, you know, to grab a bigger pry bar. And then I actually kind of like this. I use it a lot as a pummel, actually. So I'll grab this, and I kind of use it as a hammer, because I don't keep a hammer in my main toolbox. So I'll grab this out and I'll use it to kind of pummel or get something out. Let's say there's a bolt in a strut tower. I just need to knock it out real quick. This does it. So yeah, really great tool here. This is one of those fancy pry bars you can get. This is like 10-15 bucks on Amazon or something. I actually don't use it all that much, more than as much as I thought I would, but I do use it. That's why it lives in my toolbox. It has a nice thin profile to it, so I can really kind of get up underneath something and pry it out. So this does come in handy, but not all often. Now these pocket pry bars are absolutely fantastic. These are the Snap-on ones. I know other brands make it, but I use these all the time. Obviously I love pink. I have a set of red ones too. I have a whole by Break Bag, if you guys have seen that video. These are really great for just, I mean, I actually think that the steel on this one is probably stronger than the steel on this one. I've never had these flex. I mean, granted, they're shorter, right? I get that. But these are just really, really great when you need that strength, you know, like if I think that I'm going to be twisting on something that might chip my screwdriver, I'll pop one of these out and then pry it out with that. Kind of, you name it. I also kind of use these as alignment spikes. So let's say I'm trying to align a suspension component, and I got a jack, and I'm kind of playing this like teeter-totter game. You could obviously use an alignment spike or a lady's foot or whatever. I don't have one of those. I just use this, or a punch if I really need it. But this lives in my toolbox, so I could just pop it in there. Works great for stuff like that. So really, these are my everyday carry, if you will, my everyday carry pry bars and picks. That's what lives in my box. So really great array here. But let's talk about what I have in the box here. Obviously the next thing, I think we'll start on this side and work our way over. I like these long handle. I've had these for a long time. These are the Snap-on long handled picks. These are absolutely fantastic. I mean, just enough said. I mean, these are really great to get really deep into something and pull it off. Working on a GM AC compressor, and I just, for the life of me, couldn't get the electrical connector off of the clutch assembly. So this came in handy to just pop in there. Actually, I think I use this one specifically. Pop in there, pry up the tab, and pull it out. Really great tools. Highly recommend. Actually, for the long ones, I don't use this guy all that much, the bent one, and I really don't use the straight guy all that much. Really, these are the two most commonly used ones for me. Once again, this is also really good for those German cars that have those like those locking radiator hoses, so you can really, like the lower radiator hose, get down in there, usually this one, get down in there, grab that little E-clip and pull it out. Just works great for that. So highly recommend a long set like that. Okay, obviously we talked about these picks a little bit. The next thing is kind of radiator pick sets. Okay, so these are the cheapy Pittsburgh picks that you can get, a lot more heavy duty, a lot thicker. I mostly use these for radiator picks because they're a little bit more blunt, not as sharp. But you can also use these as regular picks too. Let's say you're trying to get out a heavy duty, like, or even just clean out. But let's say you're trying to get out a heavy duty snap ring. Something like this will help you with the leverage, or, you know, such of that nature. So really good there. This is another radiator hose pick, a little sharp. I don't even remember where I got this, but I kind of like the U-shaped design. This is really good for getting up in between the radiator hose and pulling it towards you and working its way around. It's actually a neat design. It's a no-name brand. I really don't know where I got it. I've had it for a long time, but it works great. And then obviously we have the another Harbor Freight special here. These are, once again, they're good because they have that blunt nose there, right? I like that. It's, you know, I can't tell you early on in my career the number of times that I've used a pick like this to try to get off a hose clamp, or excuse me, a radiator hose or a vacuum hose or something, and just punctured through it. Well, now I got to replace that hose, right? And obviously not going to charge a customer for that. So yeah, something like this, a nice long one for obvious reasons. Like I said before, I like that it has this kind of like offset bend to it, two-dimensional little bend or whatever. This is really nice to get in there and pry it up. But those are great, really cheap options, really nice. But these Snap-on radiator hose picks are even better. When I saw these for the first time, I just had to have them. They have this blunt design here at the end. These are super great. I've never ripped or torn through or poked through any kind of rubber hose with this thing. It's really great. I also use this one specifically as kind of a pry bar, even though I'm not supposed to, I know that, but I still get up underneath things and pry off. I mean, a little bit harder. I'm sure I'll snap it one day. If I do, I'll just warranty it out, right? No big deal. But yeah, something like this that you can really scoop in and grab and get out those hoses. I mean, if you're doing any kind of coolant job, if I'm removing a radiator or changing the hose or whatever, I pull these these two and these two. I just got these. These have been really great. They're pretty much the exact same design, just with a shorter handle. These are nice when you need a little bit more control. You just need to get a little bit better grab on something and really pull it out. These have been great for that. So yeah, and then obviously I have another set of these little pry bar picks. Okay, so that's that on the picks. Now let's talk about pry bars. Okay, so obviously these are pry bars. You don't need a big long lecture about pry bars. I'm sure if you've been working on cars for any length of time, you know what they're used for. But let me just kind of talk to you through what I use them for. I don't really use this small guy all that much. You can see I've had these hyper tough ones, which are absolutely fantastic, by the way, made in America, right? You see that? These are really, really great pry bars. They have the striking cap. They are just probably some of the best pry bars I've ever used, to be honest, and they're cheap. I think I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these for less than $100. Really, really great deal at Walmart. So I highly, highly recommend. Actually, one of my customers put me onto these. Anyway, so yeah, I don't really use this short one all that much. I have in the past for like small things, but really this will do pretty much whatever a screwdriver will do, or something like this will do. So I don't really use this one all that much, but I have it. Next, like I said, I've already talked about this one. This is my most used one. That's why it lives in my toolbox. And I use this, like I said, for small and kind of large things too. So there's that. I also don't use this guy all that much either. I mean, like I said, I have it, but the best thing about a pry bar is the length, right? So I'm a small, skinny guy. I don't really want to mess around with trying to fight or force something. So if I can fit it, if my larger ones don't fit, this one almost always does. You know, when you're underneath the car, for me, I'm a mobile mechanic, so I jack the car up. When I'm getting underneath it, sometimes you don't have the vertical space. Let's say you're trying to pop out a CV axle or something. You don't really have the vertical space to grab one of these long ones, even if you jack the car as high as it'll go. So something shorter comes in handy there, okay? So this one comes out for instances like that. I've never really found an instance where this will not fit in what I need to go down to something smaller. That's why these two don't get used all that much, okay? This is actually a screwdriver from Harbor Freight. It's got the striking cap on it. This is really comes in a 2-piece set. I use this one a lot because I like that it's straight. Okay, one of the great things about this is that it's relatively skinny, it's small, and it's straight. So this is good when you really need to dive deep down into something. And I've also used this as a pick to kind of like get electrical connectors off and stuff like that. You got to be really careful, but you can do it. I've never used it as an actual screwdriver. But yeah, it really works great as like a little bitty straight pry bar, when sometimes these little curved ends just don't do it for you, okay? This is probably my most used pry bar. This comes out for pretty much everything. If I have to move a lower control arm, or if I have to, if I have to do anything, this comes out. This pretty much has the leverage. It's got the right length for it, and I'll put the links in the description for you guys so you can check it out. But it just has the right length. It has the right pretty much everything that you need. So this right here, this is a really good one. The next up is this big mama jammer here. This is 36 inches. Okay, this one's really good. Once again, like I said, I'm kind of weak, so if this isn't giving me the leverage I need, I'll pull this guy out. And you can look just to see how much thicker that the shaft is on that. Just really, really great. Once again, it has that curved end, which is pretty common, pretty useful for the most part. The next thing you're going to have is this guy. This is actually a floor nail puller, a 36-inch nail puller, but I like it because of how thick it is. I mean, it's got some girth to it. There's zero flex when you whip this bad boy out. It just gets to work. And I like, once again, it has a very similar profile as far as the end goes, but what I really like is this right here. This has got that like 90-degree bend. This is also great for popping out really stuck CV axles, or pretty much anything that is giving you some stubbornness and you don't really have the room, because you got to think these shanks and handles are pretty long, so you can't just be wielding these all over the place. You don't want to scratch the customer's car and stuff like that. So something like this is probably not the most useful thing, but it's cheap. I think $10 is what I paid for this at some swap meet or something, and it's steel. I mean, I don't really care where it's made, because I mean, yeah, it's made in China, but I mean, it's just a solid piece of steel. Yeah, enough said about that. All right, guys, and then I got one more little specialty thing to show you. All right, so the next thing is going to be these honestly kind of cheap ratchet extensions. really what these are supposed to do is go on the end of your ratchet here, and then it kind of pretty much turns any ratchet into a pry bar. I have used it, and it's nice to have. They're cheap enough. I think I paid like 20 bucks for these two or something like that off Amazon, pretty cheap. But do you need it? I don't think so. I mean, yes, it comes in handy, and yes, it doesn't take much room in the toolbox. But if you're worried, if you're really penny punching and you're really trying to figure out do you need them or not, I would say no. That's it. Enough said. They come in handy, but not necessarily necessary. And then just so you guys can kind of see, this is where my pry bars live. The smaller ones live on this kind of magnetic rail I got from O'Reilly's. It works pretty good. It doesn't come off while I'm driving, and they stick pretty good. And then if you kind of look, excuse the mess, if you kind of look over here, this is where I keep my larger pry bars kind of shoved into the van right there. So yeah. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. Let me know if you have any comments. Once again, this is not meant to like really teach you guys anything, I guess. It's more to just kind of give you my advice and yeah, tailored more towards the younger guys. So if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, leave it down below. And thanks again for watching.